We are
Live in person.
live in the flesh from the Pacific Northwest in Phoenix, Arizona. Hope everybody's doing absolutely amazing on this Tuesday morning. My name is Rob Hunter. Thank you for being here. I'm with my esteemed, very good friend, the one and only Shaneh Woods. Her Substack is called Profit is Protest. And Shaneh, I just want to jump right in because this is how we do things. I used to think that the way to change the system, let's just call the system America just for a moment, whether it's the economic system, whether it's the political system, I used to think you could change it from the inside. But then I started listening to you talk about this concept of profit is protest. And I started to rethink that. I think the way to enact positive change is from outside the system. I want to ask you to start. You use the term become unreasonably resourced. Give me a breakdown, Shaneh Woods, of what that is. And good morning, by the way.
Good morning. When you think about the system, currently it's being run by billionaires and oligarchs.
About 10 guys.
About 10 guys. Here's the thing. The system is built to keep people like you and I down. It just is. I mean, from our education system on, it's to keep us small. But as a, what's the word I'm looking for? As a group, as a collective, there are more of us, and we collectively hold more cash than they have. But we're all separate. So we have to do our individual part. And for me, that's how do I become so resourced, and what I'm calling unreasonably resourced, that my life is I take care of myself, my family, my people, my community, because I have so much that I get to do more good into the world. My favorite mantra is the more wealth that flows through my hands, the more good flows into the universe.
Yes.
And I believe
we need a little bit more good now, Shaneh, don't we? I think we're looking for a little bit more good in the world.
And I think we're seeing it in small pockets every day. Every day I'm seeing, I mean, of course, if I'm looking, all I'm seeing is the negative stuff,
Right.
the things going on. And those are the loudest voices, right? Those are the most obvious things. And then you talk to somebody in your community and you hear about them setting up a booth at a fair or what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I guess it was it was like an outside market.
Mm-hmm.
And here they are being LGBT representation in a red state, and people coming up and thanking them for showing up.
Because it takes courage.
It takes courage, and it takes them being unreasonably resourced.
Yes.
Right? Now, when I talk about unreasonably resourced, of course I am talking about money, but that is not all I'm talking about. There are 6 resources: people, places, things, time, money, energy.
And that's how you run your business, based on those.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Pillars. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That it's not just my business. That's how I operate my life.
Well, that's a whole nother thing, right? We have a good friend, Dr. Katie Keller Wood, who says there's no such thing as work-life balance. She calls it purpose work and paycheck work. Yep. I'm trying to merge those two together so they're all the same, so that my whole life is guided towards the purpose that I feel that I'm here to do.
Right. Mine is.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's not true for everybody. And that's okay. There's no judgment towards that. That's why she talks about your purpose work and your paycheck work. Sometimes they overlap and sometimes they don't. As long as what we do is in alignment with our values, and please note, I'm not telling you what your values need to be. I'm saying choose your values and then live up to them. Right? Choose to spend your money with the people or the organizations that promote your values, that show up to the world in the way that you would want to be represented. So I don't use I don't want to give any airtime to names and brands that don't represent me, because that's just another way of giving them support.
Right.
But there are certain brands and organizations I no longer shop with, I no longer participate in, I do not watch their stations, those kind of things, because they're not representative of my values. And if I believe my message of profit is protest, then I'm only going to spend my dollars in the places that promote what I believe in.
See, now you guys are getting a little glimpse as to one of the many things I love about Shaneh Woods, because the level of depth that I think you bring in understanding, and you create safe spaces for us to dream big and talk about those big dreams, all of those things are really interesting to me, because you came up through the world in a traditional way. One of the things I love about you, we talk about origin stories all the time. You grew up in North Pole, Alaska. You started doing books for your dad at what age? 12, was it?
Yep.
So you've been in numbers the entire time. You became an accountant. You bought your own firm at the age of 19. And you did all these things traditional. You were CFO, right? When did this start to change for you, this shift away from what is seen as maybe a normal matrix where you work hard, you start at the bottom, you work way up, or you buy your own firm and you become a CFO, whatever the path is. But somewhere along the way, you were like, you know what? This kind of path is not the path for Shaneh.
It was a series of micro moments, to be honest, but I bought into the system. I did the things that everybody says that to like. So first of all, the joke in my family is that I came out of the womb counting.
That
So
wouldn't surprise me.
like I know how many steps there are between my desk and the door to the upstairs, and like it's just I count everything. It's probably a little OCD. And so like I didn't have a choice. I was told you're going to be an accountant. You're going to be an accountant. Like there was no other career option laid out before me. And when I would try to do something creative, because of the way the system is built and our education system is built, really, which is to create factory workers, I would get told things like, well, technically correct, lacks creativity. You get told that often enough, you go, I don't have a creative bone in my body. So I became the stereotypical accountant. And by that I mean the uptight clothes, the plated name thingy on your desk.
Oh, yeah.
The dressing up every day for work, and the having the conversations with clients where it'd be like, congratulations, you made a profit and you owe $40,000 in taxes, and then not understanding how to handle their emotions when they're freaking out about owing the IRS $40,000 and they don't have it.
Yeah.
Right? That was me. It was also me working 60, 80, 100-hour weeks. I had 3 heart attacks by the time I was 29.
Well, I mean, working 100-hour weeks might do that to you, especially if you're not fully aligned with what you want to do.
I don't think there's anybody, I don't care how aligned you are, that needs to be working 100-hour weeks.
No.
I mean, personally, that's my belief. But yeah, 3 heart attacks by the time I was 29. Almost dying has a pretty big effect on what you think your life should be like on the other side of it. Now, unfortunately, that was a 10-year process. There was 2 years where every day felt like it was going to be my last, or honestly, I wanted it to be my last because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And honestly, had I known how to do it without my husband knowing, I would have. But I could not conceive of a method that my husband wouldn't know wasn't an accident. And I wouldn't do that to him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And hey, at least I had a reason to stick around.
Absolutely. A good one at that. A very good one.
And a great one. I was truly, because of the amount of physical, emotional, and spiritual pain I was in, I was ready to leave. I found music.
Mm,
Music is really what opened the doorway for me.
interesting.
There was a moment where, like, music was the only thing that could bring me a semblance of peace. Like, I might still be hurting, but I was, distracted enough by the music. So I started chasing the music. And then I went to a concert, and a gentleman named Mark Masery came on stage. He was unexpected. I thought I was just seeing a pianist. I had no idea there was gonna be a singer. And he comes out and he sings, Caruso in Italian fluently, and at the end, he holds a note for 17 seconds.
Man.
And I don't know what frequency he was hitting, but everything in me stopped hurting. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, I was at complete peace. And it didn't end when the note ended. I was that way for hours.
It's like a music high that you took with
It
you.
really was. Like, before I was chasing the music, then I got scary. Then I got obsessed because I was chasing that because it was the only thing that made me feel human again.
Yeah.
Something about opening myself up to the music and what it could do for me and through me. One, I became friends with Mark Masery because when you go to a man's concert that many times, you get to be on first name basis with them.
Yes.
But he was so amazing, and the effect his music was having on me was so amazing that I didn't understand why nobody knew who he was. So I, of course, internet at my fingertips, looking him up, and he did not have a YouTube channel. He did not have Twitter. This was when Twitter was big, and when it was named Twitter. He didn't have any of that, and his website was horrendous. So I went up to him, and I got to tell you, no good conversation starts this way, but he was very forgiving. I started the conversation with, "I'm not trying to sell you anything." Okay.
Where's the sales pitch coming, right?
Okay. I'm like, and in my pretty blunt manner, I'm like, "Your website is terrible. Can I fix it, please?" Like, I'm not a website designer, and I can do better than this. So he thought about it, and then he did. He let me fix his website. He let me get him on social media. We've become very good friends. I went on tour with him one summer, and I was his merch girl.
Nice.
And I took care of all of his merchandise, and then I interfaced between him and the venues. It was the greatest summer vacation of my life,
Yeah,
which
like
I said it like the last day of all the concerts. I said that to him and the band, and they all look at me, and they're like, "You know this is work for us, right?" But he told me, he goes, "Shaneh, you're a writer." And I rolled my eyes. I don't have a creative bone in my body. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. I like math. I like numbers. I was born doing numbers. What do you mean I write? Come on.
And I mean, yeah, it's better than what you had, but it's not like it's professional or good or anything. Like I had no belief in my ability to be creative. And part of the mind, body, spirit connection is creativity.
Yeah.
Like, we are all creative beings, because not only are we talking about creativity from like an art perspective, painting, we're talking about creative thought and creating our reality.
Yes.
We are all creative beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely disconnected to that. But in talking to him and in diving into the music and then really wanting people to see how amazing this human being is and what a gift his music was to the world, I let myself be unleashed. And once you open that door, unless you want to close it, it's all just pouring back into you.
Yeah.
So there was a 10-year process between that and truly accepting my gifts, who I am, how I want to show up in the world, being vocal about my values. And it was, I mean, I had a lot to unpackage, and it took a while. But there was a book that I read because I was still in incredible pain when I wasn't playing the right music. I was still struggling. I was still spending days in bed at a time because I just didn't have the energy or the capability of moving. I read a book called The Upside of Stress by Kelly McGonigal. Fabulous book. She also has a TED Talk. So, Google. The book like glowed. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I'm at the bookstore and like the book is like glowing. And I'm like,
calling you like, hello,
yes.
Shaneh, pick me up.
I mean, it was like everything else was black and white. And here was this vibrant book. And it's a white book. So it's not like it was colorful. And that's what caught my eye. So I grabbed the book. I'm like, The Upside of Stress. Okay, this is interesting. And she's a researcher at Stanford University. She's a social scientist. So they have all these studies that prove that what we think about stress has more impact on our bodies than what the stress hormones are actually doing.
So is it like it sets the cycle on fire? Like you're stressed and you think about your stress. So it's like you have twice as much stress.
Well, think about how, the US health system has said for years, stress is the number one killer. Well, if we believe that stress is damaging our body, it's going to damage our body. But the same stress hormone, let's just use adrenaline as an example, the same adrenaline rush that I feel getting on stage, which is still very nerve-wracking to me, makes me dry mouth, scared. I push through and I do it, but I can do this, I can do this, is the same adrenaline rush that a champion team gets before they go on the field to win the game.
Yeah.
Right? But they're excited. They're energized. It's the same hormone. But what we believe is having a greater impact on how it is impacting our body. So in the book, she says, just reading this book alone is a mindset shift. However, here's other exercises you can do to further shift your mind regarding what stress is doing to your body. And I'm like, well, it can't hurt. So I read the book.
You already had 3 heart attacks. What? Why not try something different?
Right. So that was 2015. 2015. And I am having some of the most stress I've ever been in my business. I had an employee that really screwed up, and now I was on the dole for $50,000 in penalties and interest for clients' IRS bills, right? Like it was bad, and it destroying my reputation in my business. Like it could have closed my doors down. So the more stress I was under, because that's what I'd been told, both collectively with what we know from the US healthcare system, but also from my particular doctors about what was going on in my body, I knew the more stress I was in, the worse I would feel, the more pain I'd be in. Like that was just my experience. That was just what I was going to have to deal with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Well, doing this mindset work through this book, just following her instructions and just like contemplating the idea that stress, this particular stress hormone, was strengthening my heart instead of damaging my heart. Within a week, I could feel my hands and feet again. Within 2, I was pain-free.
Wow.
That's 2015. That's 11 years ago. Since then, I've had 1 flare-up.
Only one?
Only 1. I was in continuous, nonstop pain to the point I wanted to harm myself to make it end.
Yeah.
Right? For 10 years. I read that book. I considered the possibilities because I opened myself up to, I get to create a new reality through this experience I had with music. And now I've had 1 in that time frame. And when I look at that time, the last 11 years, and that what was going on in my life then, I was incredibly stressed. I was not focusing on taking care of myself mentally, spiritually. Like I was forgetting all my tools and I was sinking in those waters again. And as soon as I realized what I was doing, I was able to make a new choice, a new decision, and do something differently. And within like a day, it was done. I was over. Okay. And I haven't gone back to it.
Amazing. This is Shaneh Woods. Her Substack, Profit is Protest. Go to profitisprotest.com. Follow along. You can join for free. You can jump on her paid. She does all kinds of cool stuff, too, for her paid subscribers. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Shaneh, this resonates so much to me. I'll admit this out loud for the first time. I'm in the process of writing a book. It's a memoir style based on how I looked at my life for such a long time.
Yep.
Through one word, and that lens of that word and how powerful it was, that word was depression, because I was diagnosed at 19. I did talk therapy. I did a year's worth of antidepressants, and it didn't really work for me. But now I just heard a different definition of depression the other day, that the way that she described it, a woman named Juliet, said that when you're depressed, your body needs deep rest because you're holding on to so much stress. And your nervous system is at capacity all the time.
Yep.
And just getting that tiny definition, too, on top of this work and rewriting the story of my childhood up till the age of 40.
Yep.
These profound things are happening. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Because we're entering this modern world, which is great. And there's so many advantages. I am such a privileged and blessed human being to have been born in this era, because it's been better than any other era in human history, at least that we know, right? And to be able to have that perspective now and to understand that, oh, okay, my body was reacting to the things I was taking in.
Mm-hmm.
And now being able to rewrite some of this, some of that gets to let go. And now I expand my capacity for even greater things to come.
You're using my language.
See?
Right? I'm always talking about your nervous system. Right. So my work obviously is around money or resources, really. But because I work with business owners, of course, the one we tend to focus on is money. Well, I believe that we can only have or create as much wealth that we have the capacity in our nervous system to hold.
So give me a little more on that. So we'll just throw some numbers out. Let's say my current salary or business generates $100,000.
Okay.
But I want it to get to $1 million per year.
Yep.
How does the Shaneh Woods methodology come into play here to help me expand my nervous system to be able to accept and receive more flows coming in? Money, baby, money.
Well, first, like if you were coming to me and that was your stated goal, hey, I'm doing 100,000 right now. I want to do 1 million. I'd be like, fantastic. Let's talk about what it is you desire for your life. Not the $1 million, but why do you want the $1 million? What does the $1 million bring you personally? Your business is here to support you, your life, your mission, your goals, your impact. So we have to ask that question. What is it? What's in it for you? If you can't articulate that, it's going to be really hard to ever get to $1 million. So first we articulate that. Then we start, I have a series of 12 questions that I ask, and actually they're fill in the blank, and it's rapid fire.
Is it like Mad Libs? Adjective for
No, it's just fill in the blank with the first word that comes to your mind. So let's do a little bit live now. Are you game?
Let's do it. Okay.
Okay. Fill in the blank.
Curveball. See if I can hit it.
Fill in the blank. Having more than I need is
good for the world.
Wanting more than I need is
exhilarating.
Was that really the first word that came to your mind?
Well, I was going to say good for the world again, but then I was like, that's kind of exhilarating.
Okay. Okay.
Want more.
Fantastic.
Be able to give more. Yeah.
So I love that. Most people, I love that you don't have this one, but this is the most common one I see, would answer having more than I need feels good in some way. Wanting more than I need is selfish or greedy.
I can see that. And probably 5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago,
right?
A year ago, even, Shaneh, I probably would have said something similar to that. Yeah. But since we've been chatting and hanging out for the last 2.5 years, new mindset.
I've had a positive impact on you, which is my purpose in the world.
So well, you're doing it very well.
But I have 12 of those, right? So once you answer, you get to see really clearly where the mindset story is that's holding you back. If you believe, for example, one of the other more more common ones is rich people are fill in the blank.
Rich people are complicated is the word that came to mind, but just from the standpoint that some rich people do tremendous things for all of us and for the planet, others not so much.
Well, so complicated's an interesting word because it can go either way. But if part of your ethos and your value system is, I want to live aligned, simple, true, then complicated would be something you'd reject energetically.
Indeed.
Right. And a lot
I
of
would
people
say that like create a confusion in a way, right? Because
Uh-huh.
you're aligned
I
in
do.
a certain way. You believe, all right, I want these resources, but at the same time, my life will get complicated if I'm using that word.
And if you don't want a complicated life, then you're going to reject the money that you believe will create the complication.
Yeah.
Right.
That is
So
very
many
true. I don't
people.
want a complicated life, Shaneh. I just
No.
want to have the money come and I want it to be flowing and be easy and lovely.
Yeah. And we can say that with our minds and our mouths, but if our nervous system holds another truth, then we're never going to be able to do it because we can only hold, that's create money, keep the money, invest the money as much as our identity and our nervous system allows. So in order to go from 100,000 to 1,000,000, then we have to do the nervous system work to expand our capacity to create and hold.
Give me a little nugget, Shaneh, on what that nervous system work is like. And I'll just use my example, right, of that word depression, which I carried around in my head, but also in my body, because there's a heaviness to the energy that comes with that. And if it takes up 50, 60% of the capacity of my body, I don't have the energy to keep doing things that I want to do because I'm tapped out. So based on how I read it, how do you come in and interpret it from there?
Well, it's interesting. The definition that you gave of depression included the word identity, correct?
Yes.
Right. So if and a lot of people do this and zero judgment. I definitely did it when I was at my lowest. We identify with that word.
Yeah.
I am depressed.
And that was, for me, I farmed out my sovereignty to the nurse, the therapist, the psychiatrist, the second therapist, and everyone else who would reinforce this word. I was like, well, they must be right.
Yeah. But anything you put after the words I am is almost like a spell, right? You are putting a spell out there in the world saying, I am this. Like you are creating the box in which you live. I am depressed. Like you're saying it over and over again.
So good.
Just creates the box. I had somebody tell me recently that I listen really intently. And you and I have had some pretty good conversations. And when I'm listening, like I'm listening with my ears, but I'm listening with my whole body. And I get that very intense face. And then they made me laugh because they said I listen with my ankles, meaning my whole body.
Yes, exactly.
Which I really appreciated because it did make me giggle. So when I'm working with you and we're talking about the nervous system, the first thing I'm looking for is your language. What is the language that you're using to create the reality in which you're living?
Love that so much.
And so I offer gentle reframes. Our nervous system, our subconscious doesn't believe when we just go from I am depressed to, oh, I'm just going to affirm I am happy. Right? The mind goes, you're lying. You're lying.
If only it was that simple, right?
Yeah. Right. So one of the things that I love, and I think I've introduced you to this, is when we catch ourselves saying something that we don't want to reaffirm into our lives, we put a caveat. Past versions of me. because our subconscious goes, oh yeah, past me was that. That's true. But by saying past me, you're not affirming that current or future you is still that.
There's so much freedom in that. And Shane, as you know, my big value in the world is freedom. And coming up in the radio industry and doing talk radio and covering politics, I was always thinking of freedom as something that the government allowed us to have, so to speak, like written in the document. Now, though, my own personal freedom is exactly what you're saying. It is to be free from labels and judgments you put on yourself from the past that certainly no longer apply today, like depression. I am certainly not depressed. I have not been depressed in a very long time. But there are some circles that say it's like, nope, when you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic. Even if you hadn't had a drop of alcohol in 20 years,
you're still an alcoholic.
Yeah. Instead of saying my past self was an alcoholic, my current self is not.
Right.
And, there's probably some value in the identity that you created, to go to your point about creating your reality, which I totally believe that I've learned this through creating opportunities for myself, particularly in my career, when I would speak up and share an idea that would go over well, when I had the opportunity to save a big account from canceling, like all these little things that you can do to create momentum in the life that you want are all part in how you communicate with yourself. And to your point, how truthful you are. And I want to add another element here that I'm learning now, because you did, 10 years ago, you had your mark experience, your music experience, and it opened you up to the Shaneh that presents herself to us today, right here on Substack. Prophetess Protest, by the way, Shaneh's Substack. Check it out. It will rewire your mind about what you think about money. Faux show. So what I'm learning, Shaneh, is that in that mental work, that personal development work, the first thing I heard was a phrase called "your thoughts are not your own." A woman named Mary Morrissey said that, blew my mind. I was what? That is where my personal freedom started to show up, separate from my other definition of freedom that's related to the Declaration of Independence or whatever. So that led me on this mental health journey to rewrite some stories. But now that I'm at this point, I'm like, all right, I've done a lot of mind work. There's a whole nother level of body work that I have to do, because there's another phrase, your body keeps score.
Great book.
All these experiences, right? Yeah, very good book. The main concept, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shaneh, I'm just going to say your ankle, you mentioned ankles. Somewhere your body stored a traumatic memory in your left ankle. And you don't know that it's there, but it's an energetic block somehow that you can loosen up and you can work with to allow more free-flowing, positive, joyful, happy energy to come in.
Agreed. Yeah. And I would also actually argue and say, you do know that something is, you might not know that the reason you have a weak left ankle that constantly rolls on you when you're like hiking or whatever, you're like, why does this keep happening? It's because the body keeps the score, and it's because something that is no longer yours is stored there. I do Monday morning tapping with my Substack, my paid Substack community. And that's how I personally choose to release the stuck energy in my body. Tapping is emotional freedom technique, and it's tapping on the acupressure points in your body. You say certain words while you're tapping. And when you're doing it, so there's a whole science behind it. I'm not going to go into that, honestly, because it bores me to tears.
Love Shane's honesty, always.
But there's also what I believe how it's working based on my experience. So we say certain words while we're tapping, right? And we get so focused on tapping in the right order, in the right spot, and keeping up with the words, that our conscious mind is focused here. And yes, tapping on the acupressure points is actually having an impact. But I think what is more impactful is because your conscious mind is focused on this, the words that you're saying slip right behind the firewall to your subconscious. And the words that you are saying are affirming the release of the things that you want to let go of. Some of them are spoken. I do a lot of tapping scripts around releasing the ability to receive, right? So, releasing stories that receiving is extracting from somebody else, and that if I have it, they don't. Like, that's a story a lot of my people hold. So, we actually say that, but then there's probably something in your system very different than what might be in mine or anybody else who's tapping with us. So I always include the words that we're tapping on, spoken and unspoken, conscious and subconscious, known and unknown. Like, if it is not for me, if it is not for you, release it. I don't need to hold on to that anymore.
Yes.
And that gets to slip right behind the firewall to the subconscious. And tapping has been, after the reading of the book, The Upside of Stress, tapping has had the most impact on me physically. And I can feel when I have released something.
Ooh. And what does that feel like for you? Just to give us some kind of an example, so something we might be able to try on our own.
Everybody's going to be different.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one, I yawn a lot when I'm releasing energy, and I'm like, I'm not tired, but I can't stop yawning. I've also had it where in the middle of tapping, I almost start coughing up a lung, as if I've been a smoker for 20 years and I've never lit a cigarette. But it's that kind of you're coughing from your hips, and it's just, ugh. And that is a massive release. And when you're releasing something on that level, it may be your own trauma, but it's likely also ancestral, generational, collective. Like, we're all plugged in to each other.
Yeah.
None of us is operating on this plane alone. As we do our healing, so the quote you said was, your thoughts don't belong to you, right?
Yep. Your thoughts are not your own. Yep.
Your thoughts are not your own. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you correcting me. One of my mentors says, your shift doesn't belong to you. As I shift, those that are connected to me start shifting too.
Ooh.
If they are meant to continue on the same journey with me, we'll rise together. If our journey together is ended, which is, there's no judgment in that, they won't shift. They'll go, nope, not interested. They'll reject the shift and they'll go about their way on their own journey. And that's okay. But as I do my inner work, it impacts those around me. As they do their inner work, it impacts me. I had a client reach out to me one time, hadn't spoken to her in weeks, and she goes, Shaneh, I don't know what kind of money work you're doing on yourself, but I'm making more money because of it. Like, she identified that because I was going in deep, it was impacting her and we weren't even connected. But I was connected to her money because I was the one holding her books, holding her information.
So you get that hint right there, right? Shaneh will hold your books. And you will grow simply because of that. So this is really interesting too, because so much of this is about language. And I focus a lot on communication, but really the way I'm shifting my entire business is, I know that I'm here to live a great story. And I look back at my life and I already have lived a great story. It just keeps getting better, because the clearer I get with myself, the more tuned in my internal conversation is. That is not as distracting as it can be in this technological age, where Instagram pulls us in a direction and then TikTok does, and Substack. Finding the stillness has really been such a huge key for me to cue into that conversation that I'm really having with myself. And now I realize too, it's not just words, it's energy. So let's go down a little level here, Shaneh. Why not? So in this process of writing, and I'm only like 12 pages into this book that I'm working on, but in the process of it, these old memories are coming up. I'll give you an example. One of the most devastating things from my freshman year of high school is when I got cut from the basketball team.
Mm.
because that was the goal that I wanted. And the only thing I really cared about my freshman year, and not to get it was like getting kicked in the face. But
Mhm.
I felt that way because I knew I didn't show up fully. I didn't play my game. I didn't take enough shots because I was afraid to miss, thinking missing what was going to not get me on the team. But in reality, not shooting is what didn't make the team. So it took me a long time to kind of unravel that. And what happened was I ended up becoming a manager for the varsity team. So me and this guy, Ryan, we were kind of like took care of the team, and I filmed the team. And that was the first media exposure I ever had. And that eventually became my career, which freshman year I had no idea was going to happen. So just the process of going through this, I had this visual and I was able to spin the visual to see it from a different perspective. And I was like, oh, I did get something. I got two things out of getting cut from the basketball team. I got a true sense of why.
Mhm.
And anytime I got behind a microphone, I was ready to play my game, right? Just like I'm doing now. And then two, I get that other benefit of understanding there was a connection and a reason to get cut. I don't have a question there. I just thought it was really interesting based on what you said on how it ties together to the work that you do with us.
Well, I had a mentor. I was in a group mastermind, and one of the women, because we were sharing some really personal things, different woundings and trauma that we had had, and one of the women asked the mentor, "How do we know when we are healed?" And he took a moment to really think about. He didn't just give us an answer off the cuff. He really wanted to get this right. How would I know when I am healed?
Mm.
When I would ask for the wounding again.
Ooh.
Now,
Ooh.
some of the people in the group completely rejected that. Was like, "Nope. I I would never be willing to go through that again." Now, little preview into my keynote here that we're going to be doing in Chicago. Is that considered keynote? My speech, my talk
Yes.
in Chicago is by all of society's metrics on who will become successful and who won't. I should not ever make a stage. I should not be on this Substack live with you. I shouldn't have a business been profitable for most of 30 years. I've had a couple bad years, but most of 30 years, right?
Welcome to business ownership, right?
Right? I I had an incredibly abusive childhood. Um, I went into foster care and had to sue to have my mother's parental rights removed. Um, Abused in multiple ways, either in the foster care system, emotionally from my stepfather. Like it was a pretty shitty life. It really was. And I like me. I like who I am. I don't I did not enjoy the 3 heart attacks. I didn't enjoy the 10, 12 years of wanting to die. Like, this was not a good life, and there is not one part of my life I would change. Because if I changed any part of it, I wouldn't be here today
Yeah.
having this conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
When we can look back at the different parts of our life, getting kicked off of a basketball team or not being selected for it, um, and go, "Oh, that's why that happened." Because it gave me a gift. I didn't feel the gift in the time. It was not good. It was not pleasant.
Right.
It like it sucked.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change anything because I like who I am. I like where I'm going. I like what I'm doing. That's freedom.
100%. 100%. And I love that, Shana, because my process, we'll just call it that, right, of rewriting my story also helps me see how weirdly things lined up.
Mhm.
Even, you don't, sometimes you don't even notice that it's happening. But this little thing, like, oh, I got cut from the basketball team, but I got to pick up a video camera. And not that I got
Mhm.
into TV or video, but at least subconsciously, this idea of, oh, okay, there's a creativity here
Mhm.
that you can get involved in. So that lines up. And then, around that same time, my voice changed. And obviously I've been blessed with a very nice voice. Two random people told me that I have a great radio voice and you should think about being on the radio. That was I'm like, what? Huh? But little to know, like just those little things that come in that you remember and you're like, huh. In fact, there's another funny thing about memory. This is completely unrelated, but this is about broadening perspectives. And, Shaneh, you and I have talked about that a lot. And I think that that's what a lot of this conversation is, because you have broadened my perspective, not just about money, but about life, the nervous system, trying new things like tapping, human design, which I want to talk to you about in a little bit. You have, I cannot really say in words how impactful you've been for me. So thank you for that. And now that I say that, I've lost track of my train of thought, but those synchronicities, right, in opening up. Oh yeah, here's what I was going to go with. Memory's funny.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a freshman in high school, again, this is all new because I'm reliving it in my head. We had two towns that combined to make a high school because our towns were small. Half the kids were from my town, half the kids are from Whitman, Massachusetts. And my first Whitman friend was this guy named Jeremy. And we sat together in health class. And there's one particular memory I have of health class that I thought was really progressive for a high school in suburban Boston in 1992. A woman who suffered from AIDS, had been diagnosed with AIDS, came to our class and spoke.
Mm-hmm.
And, 92, you think, 91, Magic Johnson had the diagnosis. In the coverage in the late 80s and early 90s was very judgmental. It was very judgmental towards gay men and to drug users.
Yep.
So being able to see her, and she answered our questions, she was really amazing. We gave her a standing ovation at the end of the class because you could tell that our impressionable young minds expanded that day to maybe carry with us a little less judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And now I look back at that and I'm like, man, that was pretty profound. Like this one little thing. And even the memory part's funny because I asked my friend Jeremy last night, texted him last night. I'm like, do you remember that? He's like, I don't. So for some reason, I remember that.
Right.
Whereas maybe 25 other kids in the class don't. So I think that that's what's kind of fun about our experiences and what we get to bring to the table. But how we look at those and feel about those, we carry with us.
The interesting thing for me about memory is there are certain memories that when we tell the story, we're actually just re-traumatizing ourselves. Like if we haven't done the work to heal the thing, whatever it is, and again, known or unknown, conscious or subconscious, the more we tell the story, the more we're emphasizing to our nervous system that it's not safe, that we will be harmed, that it took years for me to like my voice. Now, everybody tells me I have a beautiful voice. They love it when I read my Substack. It's like, Shaneh, can you read me lullabies so that I can go to your voice?
Just need a little Shaneh voice in my life.
Right? All I would ever hear when I'd hear my voice was like a 12-year-old girl. And my thought was, who's ever going to want to listen to a 12-year-old girl talk about what I talk about? Nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's going to see me as an authority. I sound like a 12-year-old girl. I don't believe that anymore. But I had a very specific story, which I'm not going to tell because I don't need to reinforce any of those past beliefs into my body. There are certain memories, like we can have them, and if we continue to share them in a way that is disempowering, like we tell it from being inside the wound, we're just paper cutting ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But then there are memories, and this is a technique we were talking about, like how do I release things in my body? How do I make the nervous system feel more safe and expand its capacity? There are certain memories where we could identify, oh, that's the memory, and how might I feel had it happened slightly differently? Had this changed? And it's usually like something, this is where we start doing like some inner child work and how our parents might have treated us at a moment of we were building our identity and our subconscious. And I don't mean abuse. I mean, it can be, but it's not. It can be something as simple as, no, Rob, we can't get those shoes. They're too expensive, right? If we have turned that into a money story, oh, I don't deserve things that are expensive. I'm not the type of person somebody would spend that kind of money on. We've made that our money story.
Yeah.
It can be really purposeful to sit with that memory and imagine them saying yes, and then going to the store and trying on the shoes and taking them home and then going to school in them the next day, and your best friend going, oh my gosh, I want those shoes, right? Because your subconscious and your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real memory and what you've imagined. So you can overwrite things too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because even go back to that freedom, I think that the big reality is you're the author of your story, no one else.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, there are other people that will give you ideas they think you will help you write your story. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes people give you great insights that you can incorporate in your story, but sometimes people's perceptions from their own experiences will give you their point of view that isn't necessarily yours to include in your story.
That's the difference between indoctrination and insight.
That sounds like a little bit of wisdom right there. A little.
Well, you can sell me on an educational opportunity like it's the oxygen I need to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I love to learn. And I have learned that anything I learn, I have to filter through me, right? So I am being taught something, and the things that ring true, I take on board. The things that ring false, and I'm not talking unknown or uncomfortable. I'm willing to get uncomfortable. But there's a note of falseness that says, not mine. Doesn't mean it's wrong for everybody,
Right.
but not mine. And I get to let those go. So one of my actually, it was the same mentor that gave us the wonderful, how do I know when I am healed? He liked to say, eat the fish, spit out the bones.
Yeah. Take the nourishment.
Yeah.
Get rid of the things that stab your mouth.
Right. You don't have to take everything in.
Yeah.
And we get to filter what we take in based on, do we trust them? Have they earned our respect? Right? Are our values aligned? Right? Two different people could say the exact same thing to me, but if this person has, let's say, Nazi leanings, I'm not taking it. Somebody like you, who I adore, says, Shaneh, have you ever thought of this? I will consider it. I might not onboard it,
Sure,
but I'll take a moment and go, well, if Rob is seeing that, maybe there's something there that I need to explore.
Which is great.
Could be the identical
I
one.
like to throw you an idea just to see if it resonates with you,
Yeah.
see if anything sparks from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Shaneh Woods is with us. Profit is protest. One of her great many phrases that she has. Money loves joy is another one, which here's another way you've influenced me. I like to walk in my neighborhood in Phoenix. It's a really cool neighborhood to walk in. That's some hills, some really interesting houses to look at. Every time I see money on the ground, whether it's a penny, a dime, I pick it up and I do a little joyful dance because Shaneh Woods is in my head telling me money loves joy. So if I get joyful, even if I get a penny, more's coming my way. So I just take that attitude with me. So you also dive into human design.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really interesting because you and I have done this process too. And this was new for me. And I want to say hi to Liz and Bex, and I want to say hi to Naomi. Thanks for being here. If you guys have questions and comments, the chat obviously is open. I see Liz and I see Bex in there. So hello. So the human design, give me like an overview, Shaneh, of what it is and what it tells someone about themselves.
Sure. Human design is this beautiful amalgamation of 4 ancient wisdoms and a dash of quantum mechanics.
I love a little dash of quantum mechanics in my
Little sprinkle on there for you. It's the seasoning salt. So it's astrology, the I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, and the Kabbalah. I got into human design to disprove it.
This is great. I didn't even know. I don't think I knew that. So you get it like, this is crap. I am going to find out why it is crap because people cannot live like this.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, nope, cannot handle it. I had a reading that was incredibly disempowering. The woman who read me, we bring our own baggage to anything we do, right? This is why I feel it's so important for me to do my money work so that my money stories aren't attaching themselves to my client's money. The reader had their own baggage. So she says to me, she goes, "Do you have children?" I'm like, nope, no kids. She goes, "That's good. Because as a non-sacral being, you're not here to create something out of nothing." Now, she has no idea why I don't have children. She doesn't know if it was a choice or a medical or if mine died.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like, how horrible is that to say to somebody? And that was not the worst of the things that she said. So as you can imagine, by the end of that call, I was apocalyptic. I was ready to light the world on fire. I was so angry.
Bex agrees. Bex is like, who does this?
Yeah, it was bad. But I am Sag to my core. So Sagittarius. I have 5 placements in Sag, all in my first house, which is the house of identity. And so as a Sag with that many placements in the house of identity, you cannot put me in a box. She tried to put me in a box and I said, I was going to be rude. I said no.
This is a free speech space. Say what you want to say.
I said no. Not that gently, but I said no. And then I was like, so now I've got to prove her wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You try to put me in this box. Let me show you the truth. But I didn't do that by going down the human design path. Right? Because human design was the angle she came at me from. So I went, well, if it's this amalgamation of these things, I need to understand these things, these ancient wisdoms, to see how somebody compiled them together in order to come up with that result. So I went on a couple-year journey. And yes, this was a couple years. This wasn't...
Yeah, it doesn't big small, decade-long journeys, couple-year journeys. There's no small things with Shaneh.
This was not a 5-week course to get my certification in human design. This was years of study. In fact, I'm continuing my studies even now into astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah system, the Hindu chakra system, like to understand how they all come to the same conclusion. And they do. There are absolute places where all of them meet. And to me, that was truth with a capital T. And any place they differed, hey, 3 out of the 4 could say one thing, but one might argue something else. I went, okay, that's man's interpretation. Somebody else is bringing their insight to it, and this is how they see it.
Yeah.
And then I could start seeing the patterns that created human design. And I went, wow, this could be really beneficial when done right.
Yeah. Goals, don't put people in a box. They feel terrible about themselves.
I cannot tell you. So just like my bookkeeping service, I get more clients from the bookkeeping side who have had other bookkeepers and accountants. And they come to me and they're like, oh, my last bookkeeper made me cry. My last bookkeeper made me feel so judged about how I was spending my money or what I was doing, or would tell me that what I desire is not possible. Well, people coming to me from human design, so many of them come to me, man, I've had another reading and it was the worst. I will never be able to market my business because I have an undefined throat. And I'm like, oh, no.
No, there's power in that.
You are not a victim to your design,
Mm.
right? There is nothing in your design that holds you down or holds you back. All we have to do is follow the energy for you. Your path will be different from my path, will be different from Rob's path, will be different from Liz's path and Beck's path. And that is beautiful.
Yes.
So I wanted to make it practical. And that's probably the number one thing I hear about my human design readings is, wow, because they're very woo, right? Human design. We're talking about 4 ancient wisdoms that are considered incredibly woo.
Yeah.
So people come to them expecting that it's going to be all high energy, and you're going to have to figure out what does it actually mean to apply it to your life. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this if we're not applying it. If it's not practical, I'm not interested. And I work with business owners. So yes, I could give everybody a human design reading and go over their type, strategy, and authority. And for most people, I'd be completely bored. Right? Give me 10 minutes, I'll give you that, and then I'm just not interested. Put a business owner in front of me, and we can go into, what does this mean about you? What does it mean about the people you are here to connect and co-create with? Mm-hmm. How do we use this energy in order to help you become more profitable, more resourced, have more impact? That I can do all day long.
Yes.
Then I'm not satisfied with a 10-minute call. That's when we go, I don't know, how long was ours, Rob? 5 hours?
It was 3 hours. Yeah, 3-4 hours.
It was like 5.
Yeah, Shaneh and I've had several 5-hour calls, by the way.
But your human design session that's supposed to be 90 minutes.
Half a day. We did half a day.
We did half a day. And it was good, right?
It was very good. Well, for me too, it's like being open is one of my values. And being open to new ideas, new things, even going back, if you heard me talk about my freshman year in high school, a woman who had AIDS came and talked to our class. And this is in the late 92. So late 80s, early 90s, there's a perception about who has AIDS and what AIDS looks like and what it shows up as. And this woman comes in and it's completely different. So I have this whole new experience. And that was one of those early moments that taught me to be more open. Like my favorite book is a book called Native Son by Richard Wright. It was on my summer reading list, 8th grade going into 9th. And it was just about a completely different living than I grew up in a small white town. This book is based in Chicago. The main character's Black. He's poor. And that experience, even though it was fiction, was like, whoa, because it was closer to a reality I didn't know about. Mm-hmm. So bring it fast forward into human design. When you first started talking about it, I'm like, I don't know, but I'm open. I'll try it. And we did our half-day call. And I learned a ton of interesting things about myself. And I want to bring up this ancient wisdom for a moment, Shaneh, because the older I get and the more that I'm surrounded by technology, and that's been the way it has been my entire life, the more I'm convinced the ancient wisdom is needed now because we're all pulled in certain ways by our technology. And my theory, Shaneh, is if you go back to the times where humans weren't as connected as they were now, if you go back to the 1400s, travel was very limited, cities were smaller. We weren't using our quote unquote intellect in language the same way we are now. Mm-hmm. We were much more into the feels and understanding what those are instead of defining all those things. So I think now, if you're curious about that ancient wisdom and how it applies to you, human design is something you should definitely try. Even if you learn one thing about yourself, it's worth it. And I've learned like 25,000 things about myself.
And if you're a business owner, you should learn it from me.
Yes. Well, the only person I would suggest that you learn it from would be Shaneh Woods. Yes. I create reports that go with those human design readings. And my first report that I did and got paid for was in 2020. Yes, 2020. So 6 years. I have people from 6 years ago reaching out to me saying, I just
I went back and I referred back to that report, and I read something I never noticed before, and it's really impactful, and it's changed how I see this or I do that. And it's like, we take it, there's so much information in human design. I mean, it's an amalgamation of 4 incredibly powerful systems. We can't take it all in at once.
Right.
So you take in what you have the capacity to actually like hold and use and apply, and you start doing the inner and the outer work to become that person. And then at some point you feel a call to like revisit the information, talk to another practitioner, go down your own rabbit hole with like astrology or whatever, and you learn something more. And
Yeah.
you grow and you expand more. And I think it is a beautiful thing that we're not stuck in a box, right? I call my human design reports the ultimate permission slip.
Hmm.
And it's because it's the ultimate permission slip for you to bring more of you to more of your life.
And who doesn't want that?
The fullness of you, Rob, Bex, Liz, Aaron, April, the fullness of you is what the world needs.
Yes.
You in your fullest expression, whatever that is. We need more of that.
And the human design, for me, I'll give you one insight as to one of the things Shaneh and I talked about was, and Bex just got goosebumps. You're damn right, Bex. You're damn right you did. What does that mean? More Bex, more Bex. Anyways,
Yes.
my emotional center. Where are people's emotional centers? Like where we process emotions that are coming in towards us from other people.
It's the solar plexus.
Solar
chakra.
plexus, yes.
Yep.
So the solar plexus, mine is undefined, which Shaneh helped me understand something that I've been feeling but not knowing for a long time, that because mine is undefined, other people's emotional energies will travel through me, and I have to be careful not to be a sponge and take all of that in.
Be a
And that
filter,
was
not a
so
sponge.
helpful to understand, like, why do I feel heavy out of the blue? I'm like, oh, the people that I'm around are putting off this energy. So now I have to know how to like just let it run through rather than like, ew, I'm just going to carry this around for 5 days. So that was like one example that I saw that I benefited from just in how I process things.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a page that I have in big, bold letters in your report that says, be a filter, not a sponge.
You do, literally do, yes.
Right? And that applies to all the centers, not just the emotional center. Being a filter, not a sponge, means, hey, people are transmitting at whatever frequency they're feeling. We are not a victim to that. And I think that is one of the ways in which I share human design very differently. Part of the really disempowered reading that I had that first time was all the ways that I was a victim to my design, because I'm incredibly open. I have a lot of open spaces. And it was, oh, because you're open, you're going to experience this bad thing and that bad thing and that bad thing. And none of the other saying, so here's how you don't have to experience the bad things. Here's how you build the filter, right? So building a filter is, one, you have to know yourself. What do you value in the world?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
What are
Huge
your
question.
values?
Mhm.
What is your truth? You need to know that. But then there's some other parts of human design that you can also use as your filter once you know your human design, your strategy, your authority. But all of the energies that we can pick up on is what helps us connect and co-create as business owners with those that we're meant to work with. Whether that's employees, whether that's vendors, whether that's clients, that's customers, our social media channels. Those energies we're picking up, if we are filtering them, and think about a water filter. You pour in water, it filters, and out comes better water.
Yes.
Right? So if we're building a filter, in comes the energy that we're taking in, we process it through our filter, and out comes better energy. We can have a greater impact on our people simply by knowing ourselves to that degree.
And your own levels of happiness and fulfillment increase simply by understanding yourself
Mhm.
on a real intimate level.
Yep.
And to me, that just means looking at everything, something like a human design. Again, it might not be something that you're like, but it's worth opening your mind to and just seeing, because I don't know, there's always the thing you're like, oh, that is me.
Mhm.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And when you have that knowledge, your decision making, on top of your happiness and fulfillment, your decision making gets clearer and better and aligned. Let's go back to
Mhm.
music, Shayna, and I'll use the word harmony,
That's
because
my word.
I know it's such a good word, because I
Mhm.
really am focused on harmonizing my life to my environment at all times, where I am flowing wherever I go and I'm free to be me.
Mhm.
And human design helps me do that.
Remember how I said I didn't like my design because they tried to fit me in a box.
Yeah.
My way of doing human design and the way I want people to experience, whether it's with me or another reader, is to see a mirror. Let me show you this mirror of like who you are when you are operating in an empowered state, right? When you've done the inner and the outer work, what is your highest and best? What does that look like energetically?
Yeah.
And if I can show that to you, you now have the choice to rise into that. It's not a box. It's you. It is a Rob-shaped mirror.
Love it.
It doesn't look like anybody else. It doesn't operate like anybody else. It doesn't have the same experiences, the same memory, the same goals, the same impact. It's more of you to more of the world.
Who doesn't want that for ourselves, right?
Thank you. More, please.
Yes, thank you. More, please. That is another one of Shayna-isms, as we like to call them in our mastermind group. Shayna is the most quotable one in the group by far, and we're filled with brilliant people, but Shayna's got the phrases that happen. So a couple more things before we wrap up here, because obviously you and I could talk for hours and hours and hours, and we have many, many times. And just thinking about one thing I've been working on lately, and this is all part because of the work that we've done and the conversations that we've had, human design being included in that, and the tapping is some of these, again, in re-going into my past, in thinking through some of this stuff and what I defined it as. Now what I'm doing is I'm letting the energy come in the definition that has been applied to it. I let go
Mhm.
for a moment. I'm like, all right, just treat this as energy with no definition. And that is really where some magical things are starting to happen for me. It is some type of transformation of that energy is happening in letting go the wording that I chose to define it as, and letting the energy just be free to be energy.
Mhm.
Because now it's gone from like, oh my God, it's really heavy, this really feels gross, to if I sit with it long enough, it almost turns into something that's a little tickly and joyous. There's like some kind of a shout out to our friend Emily, some kind of alchemy that's happening here, Shayna.
Mhm. Well, when you think about it, we've already talked about how your words create your reality, or how what you believe about stress impacts how that stress hormone is impacting your body. So if you're judging the energy as heavy, as gross, as weird, as uncomfortable, that's going to be your experience.
Yes.
So when you release the label, it just gets to be energy, which is the building blocks of reality.
Yes.
it
Yes.
gets to it gets to
Exactly.
become whatever it needs to be in your highest and best. Some of that's just like I just get to experience it as it passes through me and onto the rest of its journey. And some of it's like, oh, that's mine.
Yes.
I'm going to take that and use that for whatever I want to create.
So good, because that's freedom and that's power and that's your self power. And that doesn't mean that, well, it means whatever you want it to mean, really. But being in your own power, you get to understand we all have these beautiful, brilliant gifts, and we can make the world better,
Yep.
do our part by bringing these gifts into the world which I love because I mean, the group that we have in here and April and Liz and Bex and Naomi and Erin, same idea for all of us, right? To do it together, like
Yep.
Shaneh said. So let's bring this back and we'll start where we end because all good stories do. Profit is protest. All these things, Shaneh, that you've laid out for us today and given us so much value, how does it tie in to us becoming unreasonably resourced to be able to take that good and bring it into the world?
I'll be honest, there were a little too many pronouns in that sentence. I'm not actually sure what you were asking.
Profit is protest, human design, putting a mirror up to ourselves.
Okay.
The Shaneh Woods world, if you will,
Yep.
how does that bring us to be our best selves so that we can make obscene amounts of profits and do good with it?
Okay, that is a big question. I feel like I need to like structure it like an essay in 3 parts. But let me boil it down, and I'll try to use as few words as possible, though that is not my gift. If I can tell a story in 500 words instead of 50, I will. The more that kind, compassionate, impact-driven, heart-centered human beings are resourced, the greater their impact is in the world. Money is an amplifier. If you are a jerk, you will be a bigger jerk with money. If you are a kind, compassionate, heart-centered, impact-driven individual, with money, you're going to be more kind, more compassionate, more courageous, more impactful. We, those people who I would say would identify with those labels, we outnumber the assholes.
Very much so.
But we've been siloed.
Yes.
We feel separate, and we feel separate because of how ultra connected the world is.
Which is bizarre, but true.
Right? It's a paradox.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can first say, I deserve to be resourced simply because I exist and it harms no one. And with those resources, I am going to first take care of myself. I am going to fill my cup. I'm going to fill my cup. Everything I do is for me first. And from that cup, I'm going to let it overflow into this incredible saucer. And then from this saucer, I'm going to serve the world.
Yes. Yes.
Right? That is profit is protest. That is me saying, me being resourced is the change I need to see in the world. Because when I am resourced, I take care of my people, and my people can then take care of their people, and their people can then take care of their people. And that ripple effect changes the world.
And now you know why I love me some Shaneh Woods. Shaneh, how do people find out more about you? Where do you want people to go to hang out with you? Maybe try human design, maybe try some tapping, read some of your stuff, get involved with you. Where do you want them to go?
Well, if you're not already here on Substack, subscribe to my Substack, please do. Profit is protest. I have a paid Substack, and I want to encourage you, if you're not, to join me there. It's not more content. We have enough content. We have enough content. It is live experiences with me. Every Monday, we tap. And those tapping scripts, I have to say, I've written, I have 4.5 unpublished books, excuse me.
One soon to be published.
One soon to be published, September 8th. I am a prolific writer, and these tapping scripts, I would say, are some of my best writing. Most impactful. So on Monday mornings, we tap. The third Thursday of each month, we do some money coaching. These are ways to engage with me, engage with a community of people who believe in the profit is protest movement. Yes, please join me there.
Yes.
Please join me there. Yes, Liz, we are going to get all those books published. That's the place where I would love to see you. The first and foremost, it is what I would call my source of truth. You can find me on any other social media platform except for TikTok. I do not do that one. That's a values thing for me. So any other one, you will find me there. I'm not as active there, but Substack here is the source of truth. That's where I'd love to see you. I did see a question we did not answer. April wanted to know what your human design is, Rob.
I am a generator.
Yes.
3-5 generator.
Yeah. Yes, books, specs. I love it.
It is on. I love that you guys are encouraging Shaneh to write these books. Well, seriously written the books. Get them out there. Absolutely.
So I'm building the wait list. You'll be proud of me. I'm building the wait list page so you can join the wait list to pre-order Profit is Protest. That is the book that's coming out September 8th. And there's enough people in this room who know what I believe about American politics. And we won't go into that because we are not bringing down the energy of this room. But we are launching the pre-order for Profit is Protest on America's Independence Day. And if the marketing doesn't write itself, I don't know what does.
What a way to celebrate America's 250th. Profit is Protest. Hell yeah. Well, Shaneh, this has been tremendous. I would love to do it again some point down the line, sooner rather than later, because I just love these conversations. So Profit is Protest, Shaneh Woods. You see why she's the best. So get over there and say hi. Shaneh, thank you so much. Any final words?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Bex, April, Naomi, Liz. Thank you all for being here. Aaron, thanks for being here. Stay tuned. More coming soon. Cheers.